Live at 6:04, you are getting a look inside the spin room in Atlanta. We are under 2 hours away from the first ever presidential debate between a current president and a former president.
It'll also be the first time President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump have been on a debate stage since their two clashes in 2020. And to give us a little bit of an insight into tonight's debate, what we can expect, we bring in Dr. Brian Shoup, the head of the Mississippi State Political Science Department. Dr. Shoup, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
So what does each candidate need to do tonight to be able to walk away thinking they've won?
Sure. Well, I think for President Biden, the fundamental thing he's seeking to do is to just be calm and collected and to try to minimize the number of gaffes that he might commit. For President Trump, I think the primary issue for him is to drive issues of immigration and inflation, things that I think are going to resonate with his base.
I guess, what can we look forward to them talking about as far as issues are concerned? What are you expecting them to cover tonight?
Sure. Well, it's always very difficult to fully predict how a debate's going to unfold. A lot of the questions are really up to the moderators. But as I said, I think immigration and inflation are two key policy issues. I think that President Biden is going to probably also want to focus on issues of character and issues pertaining to democracy. So I think that those topics may come up as well.
A lot has been said about these rules for tonight's debate, in particular the fact that CNN is going to be cutting the mics of the candidates once the time limits hit. Who benefits from that?
Well, that's a good question. Both of them might benefit in their own particular way. But I think that former President Trump probably will benefit the most, as it will sort of minimize that tendency that sometimes he's demonstrated to sort of intrude and interrupt, which I think might not play well with some independent voters.
Now, along with the muted mics, they also have the debate is, I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought there. The debate is a little different than what we have seen from 4 years ago. How are these debates going to differ, you think, from what we saw 4 years ago until now?
Well, I think that there are a couple of things that are going to be a little bit different. The first thing that's going to be very different is it's in June. This is very early for a presidential debate, and it's really not something that we've really seen in our recent political discourse. The second thing is we're going to actually have a fact checker on site, kind of trying to assess in real time whether the statements that the candidates are making are true or not. That's also something that's quite different. But ultimately, I think one of the biggest differences is that there's really not a lot of new information that can possibly come out. Both of these men have been or are President of the United States, and they really do command a significant amount of public knowledge that, you're really not going to see, I think, a lot of new things sort of emerge that is really going to radically augment how people think about them.
Dr. Brian Shoup, thank you so much for joining us on WTVA 9 News at 6. He will be joining us again after the debate tonight on WTVA 9 News at 10 with his analysis of Biden v. Trump.
Can't wait to see what you think about that one.